Have you seen a new Dave Chappelle stand up?
I saw the Dave Chappelle stand up. And I'm going to say this. I met brother Dave for the first time in Columbus this year at the Columbus Black Expo. He was there. Talib Kweli was there. A lot of the celebrities was there. And we gave each other a dap and a quick hug. You know, Dave Chappelle, obviously, you know, he's married to a non-black woman, Asian woman. Respect to him, his wife, and their children. And as you know, I don't support interracial dating because black men should be with black women, not because of any hatred for anybody else. With that being said, I think Dave Chappelle is the most politically unapologetic black comedian in the 21st century. I'm almost ready to say of all time, but Richard Pryor was pretty unapologetic as well when it came to racial issues. But after Richard Pryor, somebody of Dave's stature, I don't know, with the exception of Richard Pryor, I don't know of another politically unapologetically black comedian like Dave Chappelle in our history. Paul Mooney was very unapologetic politically, very politically unapologetic, but he never got to the stature of a Dave Chappelle, in my opinion. He may have had it before, but not in my lifetime, right? I think Paul Mooney was the most political of them all, but publicly, at Dave Chappelle's stature, saying what you feel, how you feel it in front of white people, I got to give my brother his flowers. I got to give Dave Chappelle his flowers. In that series that he just did, which he called the N-Word Act. And the reason Dave Chappelle called it the N-Word Act is he was drawing a parallel between the first heavyweight black boxing champion, Jack Johnson, and Puffy Combs. And so the stand-up was called the N-Word Act. I'm going to say the Negro Act, but he didn't say Negro, okay? The Negro Act. Because basically what Dave was trying to show is this law, and we talked about this before, Art, I think, this law that was created to bring down Jack Johnson because he was sleeping with white women and white men didn't like it. This law, racist law, created to bring down the first black heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson, the Mann Act, which forbids interstate trafficking for purposes of immorality, is exactly what Sherrone Combs was convicted of. And of course, I correctly predicted that Sherrone Combs would only be convicted for that interstate prostitution on your show. I said that's the only thing he will be found guilty of, and that was the only thing he was found guilty of. So Dave Chappelle was trying to show that even with all of Sherrone Combs' excesses and abuses, it still came right back to we must control black men by any means necessary. And in that stand-up, Dave Chappelle talked about how he did a show in Saudi Arabia. And during that show in Saudi Arabia, he said he can speak freely in Saudi Arabia doing his stand-up, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he can't speak freely in America. And that drew the ill repute of a lot of white conservatives and liberals who accused Dave Chappelle of un-Americanism. And of course, they also tried to criticize him because he said there was a journalist who was murdered in Saudi Arabia, Art. And they said to Dave Chappelle, why are you doing a comedy show in Saudi Arabia if they unalived this journalist? And Dave Chappelle said, well, Israel has unalived, allegedly, at least 240 journalists. And y'all not telling nobody not to go to Israel. So I'm not supposed to go to Saudi Arabia because a journalist was unalived once. But Israel has unalived 240 and nobody's saying anything about that. The stand-up was very bold. I was impressed with the level of Dave Chappelle's audacity. That was probably the most unapologetically black stand-up I saw in front of a mixed race audience in the 21st century. So I got to give, even though I don't support interracial dating, I got to give my brother Dave Chappelle his props. He also talked about the whole transgender thing and how he could make transgender jokes in Saudi Arabia, whereas in America, if he makes those same jokes, you know, he gets criticized for it. People try to cancel him for it. And this is supposed to be the land of free speech. OK. And that was another thing Nicki Minaj said that I didn't agree with. You know, she said when Erica Kirk asked Nicki Minaj, what brought you to change your political opinion or bring you to the Donald Trump, you know, team? She said, because I got tired of being pushed around and being told that I'm not allowed to have a different opinion. But Art, isn't that exactly what Donald Trump did when Charlie Kirk was murdered? When Charlie Kirk was murdered, they didn't allow anybody to have an opinion. You had to be pro Charlie Kirk. You had to support the legacy of this racist white man because Donald Trump said so. I think they wanted to lay his body in state at the White House or in DC. I don't know if they did that or not, but they wanted to lay his body in state. He got his own holiday, October the 14th, Charlie Kirk Day. And then Dave Chappelle talked about that, how black people had to fight like hell to get Dr. King's birthday to become a national holiday. And Charlie Kirk Day, I don't know if that's his birthday or not, October the 14th, became a national holiday. And guess what? It had bipartisan support. You had the Democrats and the Republicans came together to endorse October 14th as Charlie Kirk's Day. Black people and white people came together to endorse Charlie Kirk's birthday. Van Jones, who I'm going to have to call a hypocrite because he is Democratic Party plantation slave number one. Snow Bunny Van Jones is Democratic plantation slave number one. And even he, I believe, supported the Charlie Kirk national holiday. You know what I mean? So Dave Chappelle was just looking at all these contradictions in American society, and he did a very good job exposing American contradictions. And he basically said, listen, y'all going to have to look out for me. Y'all going to have to protect me because I don't want them to do me like they did Charlie Kirk. He said, I didn't expect my voice to become as powerful as my voice is. You know, and he said, listen, I'm just going to have to keep on doing shows in Saudi Arabia because I'm going to say what I want to say. Ain't nobody going to stop me from giving my honest opinion. I'm not trying to hurt nobody. OK, but I'm going to tell the truth as I see it. And he said something to the effect sarcastically at the end. He said, I'm not going to don't quote me. He said something to the effect of, and I'm not going to say the code word, or in order to be protected, you got to say the code word. And the code word is I stand with Israel. And as you know, Art, we just saw Floyd Money Mayweather, OK, receive some sort of award from the Zionists, you know, where he said he's going to be a staunch supporter and defender of Israel and all this and that. You know, we saw LeBron James with the Zionists, you know, before he was declared to be a billionaire about a year or two ago. So they own our athletes, bro. They own our athletes. They own our actors. They own our politicians. Jasmine Crockett, and I don't know if this is true. Much respect to the sister because she's running for Senate. I hope she wins, although I really haven't seen enough being done for black people. Too much celebrity, not enough service, in my opinion. But I'm going to be patient with my sister. Give her some time. You know, too much celebrity. Too much celebrity. Where's the substance at? But I'm going to give her some time. She wants to be a senator. I say let's vote her in. The people who have to vote for her from her state of Texas. And let's see what the sister does. I'm not impressed because I'm just seeing too much celebrity, not enough substance. You know what I mean? But she is being asked and she is being accused, not proven, Art, accused of also being a flunky for the Zionists. They said she voted on a couple of policies that were favorable to Israel and what they were doing over there to the Palestinians in Gaza. You know what I mean? So again, I'm still studying. I'm still searching. I'm still waiting. But some people are saying that she, too, is under the control of the Zionists. So again, the question is, what black people are actually free to serve black people? Because if you're taking orders from Israel, you definitely don't care about black folks in America because they don't. And I'm still waiting for somebody to finally hold the Israelis and European Jews responsible for their role in the transatlantic slave trade. They did not play a minor role in our slavery. They played a major role in our slavery. And if they're going around expecting everybody to pay homage to them for what they went through at the hands of Hitler's Germany, and I don't have a problem with that at all, what happened to them was wrong. But if people should honor you for what you've been through, and if people should be held accountable for what they put you through, you should also be held accountable for what you put African people through. They sold us. They insured us. They built the ships that sold us. In fact, Jewish slavery, Art, was so bad that they used to sell black people out in front of synagogues in Europe. They were selling us in front of their Yes, sir. This is documented. Black people were sold in front of Jewish synagogues and in some cases, allegedly inside of Jewish synagogues. So, I have a problem with people constantly reminding the world that they were mistreated when you participated in our mistreatment and you have never apologized for it. You have never offered any reparations for it, and you have never been held accountable for it. And I can't, agree with that. But the Dave Chappelle Netflix stand-up, definitely a must see. Definitely a must see. He brought up Dr. Sabi in there. It was good. It was good. I really thought it was. I really thought it was good. Couple times caught me off guard a little bit, but overall it was excellent. And I think everybody should watch it. It's one of the most unapologetically African comedy stand-ups I've seen in a long time.
It sounds like you like Dave Chappelle. The only issue you got with him is him dating outside his race. But, for the most part, you rock with him. I
like Dave. Dave got a good spirit. Yeah, my only issue with Dave Chappelle is he went outside of the community for his wife. He went outside, just like Richard Pryor did, just like Eddie Murphy did. A lot of the comedians, I don't know what it is, but it might just be black male celebrities in general. But a lot of the comedians, the more popular ones, they went outside the community for their wives. Yeah, but he's definitely unapologetic. Most black comedians are not going to say the things that Dave Chappelle said in that stand-up. And I got to respect him for it. Before watching that stand-up, I had Katt Williams as number one in terms of being unapologetically black on the microphone in front of white people. Katt Williams was number one. But after watching Dave the other night, Katt moves to number two and Dave moves to number one in terms of political courage on the comedic microphone. Everybody should watch the Dave Chappelle Netflix special.